You're watching Oilers Nation every day with Tyler Yaremchuk. Your one-stop shop for all things Oilers.
Sorry, I'm looking for whatever the hell Jeff Skinner did to Chris Knobloch. Let's get into it with the lead. We do our best work 8 seconds before we go live, which is exactly what that one was. Welcome into Oilers Nation every day. The show is a presentation of Bet365. Download the app today. Use the promo code NATION, whatever the moment. It's never ordinary at Bet365. We're coming to you live from the Sports Closet studio. $50 courtesy of our friends at Sports Closet. On the line later on in the show, we'll be giving that away. We'll be joined by Louie DeBrusk. We'll break down the win on Saturday. There's a lot to get to, quite honestly, on the show today. It is a Sherwood Ford Giant Game Day edition of the program, which means Jay is here as well, back in our main studio after being out on the road Friday. How'd you enjoy Jasper?
Hell of a road trip.
Good road trip.
Yeah, no, I like the awkward pause. It's by design.
Yeah.
Good. And thank you to our friends at Bet365. I was able to watch the football game in the app, driving back home.
That is awesome.
Had some fun live betting going on. So shout out Bet365.
Yeah, it was a little live betting going on the drive home. That definitely made that 3.5 hours go by real quick. Okay, comments. I don't even know if I want to talk about it.
Yeah, I don't think we should. I think we should let you go at your own pace.
The game that shan't be named.
Yeah. I'm thinking maybe we just stick to hockey for the first little bit of the show.
Not wearing all black.
No, I'm trying to just be, I'm just trying to put it behind me.
Got his Canucks sweater on.
You've now switched hats to another team of pain.
They're on the up and up.
Yeah, come on. They're about to get Pete Alonso.
Yep.
And Max Scherzer.
Oh, wow.
10 years ago.
1,000-year-old Max Scherzer.
Yeah. 10 years ago, it was a huge ads.
The Pete Alonso thing is very funny because his agent is like being very clear out there. Like, the Mets have last chance. Like, whatever the Jays offer, the Mets have a chance. And they're basically just sitting there right now, just like waiting, like, maybe the Mets will match. Maybe. And it's been like a week now. It's so dumb. Anyways, I digress. There was a lot to get to from this weekend. We got a hockey game to recap. But first, again, it's the biggest story, and it does have an Oilers tie-in. Let's get into it. Our Sherwood Ford Giant Question. Nation Valet Service allows you to never visit the dealership again for your car service. Our friends at Sherwood Ford the Giant will pick up your vehicle, drive to the dealership, do any sort of routine maintenance, and bring it right on back to you. The kind of quality service you get with our friends at Sherwood Ford the Giant. Let's do this. What's your take on the Mikko Rantanen trade? Liam, I haven't had a chance to talk to you about it at all. Here's the full deal up on the screen for those who maybe haven't seen it. Don't know how you couldn't have. Martin Necas, Jack Drury, a second rounder and a fourth rounder going to Colorado. Mikko Rantanen for Taylor Hall and a prospect going to Carolina. A third for Chicago. Maybe just ask this. Are you more or less afraid of the Colorado Avalanche waking up today?
Significantly less, and I wasn't even that afraid of them before.
Yeah, that's a good point.
So I understand the Colorado angle of we don't want to lose him for nothing, but also for a player like that, I feel like it's okay to walk all the way to free agency and see if you can win again.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Just load up. If you know this is his last time, be like, okay, we'll get a couple more pieces and we'll try and win again.
Well, and he's always going to be in the shadow of the Nate Dogg,
of course,
and Kellen Carr. So if he really wants to be the guy, he has a chance to be the guy in Carolina and have a chance to win. Yeah, exactly. Preview of the Four Nations Cup.
That's why the Jesper Kotkaniemi part never made sense to me.
Yeah, because like they're not gonna lose a fin in this transaction.
That would just be idiotic.
Yeah.
I think I agree with you. Like, there's no way you're as scared of the Colorado Avalanche waking up today as you were. Like, Mikko Rantanen, since the year 2020, fourth most points in the NHL, fifth most goals. Like,
who's ahead? Draisaitl, McDavid, and
McKinnon for points are the only guys ahead of him, and for goals, it's Matthews, Draisaitl, McDavid, and Pasternak are the only guys ahead of him. Like, again, this is a legitimate superstar, I would say franchise level player that's been moved. And can he survive on his own without Nate Dogg and without Makar and without the empty net points and the power play that comes along with playing in Colorado? I think he can. I really do think he's that good. From Colorado's perspective, I think they made a handful of errors in all of this. not getting back something that, and I understand like you get Natchez back, and it's
He's
like okay,
very good.
very, very good. They're also
hit $6.5 million for next season as well.
Yeah, but you don't get a legitimate high-end future piece that you can use at the deadline.
That was a big thing that people were saying about Carolina is they got Gensel and Mikko Rantanen back-to-back years and gave up no first-round picks and no top prospects.
Yeah, their top 5 prospects are all still in their cupboard, and they have their first-round pick for each of the next 3 drafts. It's insane. Again, really, really surprising move, obviously, and from Colorado. So that's one mistake. I think not getting someone commented on DFO Live today. I was like, this deal makes way more sense if Carolina eats on Hall and then flips them to Colorado, and Colorado can sit there and be like, okay, they got like 3 NHL level forwards, top 9 guys, and a second and a fourth. Okay, see what you can do here. Not getting a first, not getting a future asset that you can flip, I think is a big, big mistake. And just having it get to this point is a big mistake. I mean, you'd kind of heard Mikko Rantanen in the days after now has come out and said, you know, I would have taken some sort of a discount to stay with the Colorado Avalanche. And I saw Avs fans being like 14 million or 13 million isn't a discount. Taking less than Nate is the discount. And Colorado was steadfast in their thinking of, we have an internal cap and we will not pay anyone more than Nathan MacKinnon. And I think that is the dumbest possible way you can run a hockey franchise. The salary cap goes up from when MacKinnon signed that deal to when Mikko Rantanen needs his new deal to kick in. The cap's going to be $10-12 million higher than it was. What do you mean you're not going to pay him more than Nathan MacKinnon? Percentage of the cap, give him 14 million and make your internal rule, if you need to do that, that you don't get a higher percentage of the cap than Nathan MacKinnon. Sure, but not giving him 14 million when Leon Draisaitl, who is a dead comparable to him. Totally. You can argue about who's better, who you'd rather have. Draisaitl's a centerman. I would take Leon Draisaitl, but a legit superstar franchise player that is the running mate to your other generational talent. The deal was right there. Same agent. Do the Draisaitl deal. Keep Mikko Rantanen in the mix and keep Nate happy. And Jay, when we reacted to this on Oilers Nation Radio, we did it live. We'll post the clip later on today because it's hilarious to see our reactions to it. You were like, you kind of said, like, there's no way Nate wasn't told about this.
Yes.
But he was, or he wasn't. And if you go watch that video of Nathan MacKinnon in the locker room.
Way. I know what his reaction is, but man, to not include him in that, or at least inform him.
Yeah.
Apparently, Rantanen found out while he was at dinner, and Nathan MacKinnon found out when the team put out a release. And Jared Bednar wasn't even in the loop. Like, this is the front office, Joe Sakic and Chris McFarland taking a swing and going, we're not going to sign him. We're not going to give him $14 million. So let's rip off the Band-Aid and send him out and get Natchez back. And again, I think it's a massive mistake that teams are almost still operating in the COVID mindset of, oh, the cap's only going up $2 million. I think the cap's just going to jump. It's going up $9 million now, we're hearing. It's going to be $97 million next season. What do you think it's just going to stop? You think they're going to jump it up $9 million and be like, oh, only a $1 million increase the year after? No, it's going to go up 5 or 6 the next year and 5 or 6 the year after that. And signing Mikko Rantanen to an 8x14, maybe next season you'd be like, whew, things are tight. You would then get 7 seasons of a superstar at $14 million. And there would be a point in years 6, 7, 8 of his deal and McCarr's new deal when he gets it and McKinnon's deal where you would be able to sit there as the Avalanche and go, woo, thank God we bit the bullet and signed those guys long-term because we look great right now. And now you've just flushed that away. Now, like, how much do you think if Martin Natchez goes and let's say he should blossom next to Nathan MacKinnon and find another gear, should only get more productive. Let's say he's a 95 to 100 point guy in the next season. What do you think he wants on his deal?
Yeah.
Right. And now you went from
kick the can.
Yeah, it makes no sense to me. It's a dumb trade for Chicago.
Well,
that makes no sense.
Chicago looks like the dumbest in like the history of dumb.
If they would have just gotten a third, and so one important note is that it's Chicago getting back their own third. So you can view it as a third from getting this third back.
Second.
It's a late second.
You would have gotten a late second.
Sure, if you really need to justify this because you made such a big mistake.
But like
pretty much.
Trading Taylor Hall should have got you a third. Keeping $4.5 million of Mikko Rantanen.
Get you a first.
Yeah. Like, it's insane. The third is basically the second. Sure.
I want to know what their math is. Like, how do they either are eating cap for nothing or gave away Taylor Hall for nothing. And they also mispriced it both ways.
Yeah. So here's where I think maybe Chicago will never say this because it's tampering. I wonder if they didn't sit there and go, we got a pile of money to spend. Our best chance of Mikko Rantanen being a free agent is if he gets the hell out of Colorado.
I thought that too.
And maybe that's just Kyle Davidson playing chess, not checkers, going, get him out of Colorado. Hopefully things don't go that well in Carolina, and we'll take a run at him. And if he gets Mikko Rantanen,
so
all right.
The only way this works, the only way this trade is justified is in hindsight, is if, in fact, they do sign Rantanen.
Yeah.
And Colorado does something magnificent with this cap space.
Yeah. Tanner says
they're getting Brock Nelson. I think they're gonna lock up Brock
Sidney
Nelson.
Crosby, eh?
No.
Boy, did that ever get flushed out quickly.
Yeah.
Why?
Because the Chicklets guys put it out, and then every insider was like, nope.
Kevin Weeks posted a photo of the Pittsburgh skyline.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that one was
cryptic Instagram story of a teenage
Also,
girl.
too,
I would say never say never.
I would say never.
I would like to say
Because-
Who would say never?
Sidney Crosby.
Do you think he would say never?
Yeah.
He has
Yeah.
every action he's made, signed an extension this
I know,
summer.
because he's doing it. He's doing right by his team.
So why would he stop?
Well, it's a bit of a mess.
He just signed a contract.
It was a mess when he
Doesn't
signed the
matter.
contract.
It does matter.
He just signed a contract. Doesn't matter.
Of
Dude
course, it
signed
matters.
contracts and asked for trades 6 months later.
Yeah,
so
it
I
does
agree.
not matter.
Every player that signs contracts and asks for a
There's
trade
only
is called
one
Sidney
team
Crosby.
Sidney Crosby would go to.
Why?
Two, if you're me, wishfully Edmonton. But realistically, go play with the Nate Dogg.
He will
I
never
don't
do
get
it. I would wager you so much money on it.
I'd wager all my winnings this year in the Bet365 betting challenge.
That's a big wager.
That's not even convincing enough.
Here's the thing. So you brought up Colorado.
Yeah.
They still don't have a first round pick this year. They have 2 seconds, no third. So like, are you going to trade, I guess, 2 seconds enough to get you Brock Nelson? Probably not. You need to trade Ivan. Like, they don't even have
Who's their
prospects.
best prospect?
Cal Ritchie.
Oh, he is really good.
And they won't trade him.
Well, they might have to.
Yeah, maybe. But like, man, I don't know. I think Colorado's a mess. I wake up this morning.
They've got space.
Like, they do and they don't, Jay. It's like they got off of.
I'm trying to justify it from Colorado's perspective.
No.
I hope they don't do anything. And I hope that nothing big happens. But something could happen now.
So they went from having about 5.9 million in cap space, about 1.9 million in cap space to 3.9 million.
That spends a lot at the deadline.
No, it's LTIR space. So that's dollars in, dollar out. Because if
so they'll need some retention.
Yeah, if Landeskog
filter it through Chicago, costs you nothing.
if Landeskog comes back, they can't activate Landeskog right now, which is interesting.
And he's not coming back.
I don't think so. No. Anyways, a big blockbuster deal. Big trade. Oh, yeah, that's me reading the tweet.
Look at that fire.
That was a good fire.
Nice. I'd like to throw something out there, specifically to Kevin Weeks. Look, I know what you're trying to do to us, but if you're gonna put out those pictures of the damn city, can you just give us that little like red pin and put like Pittsburgh next to it? Like I never know where any of these places are that he just throws out there.
Because every
all you
week,
care about is their flags.
I know every state flag, every mayor flag.
because he had this one in between his 6 scheduled tweets about the NHL going back to Atlanta.
annoying.
Like,
just like, come on, give us some help here.
I also
always just immediately go to the comments like, where is this place? I thought it was Montreal at first.
the ultimate sign of like
Shame
how
on you.
how I view you as an insider ever. If I have your tweet notifications on,
Oh yeah.
only the top dogs get my tweet notifications. And when I see guys who like do the picture, like it's like, no, you don't get tweet notifications.
I had a couple of tweet notification guys. My favorite one is Bob.
Stoff?
Yeah.
You have Stoff for tweet notifications on.
Yeah, of course.
Me
He
too.
always sends out like
Really?
messages after the game and puts out good stats. And he always edits his tweets.
Yeah.
There's always a spelling mistake in every tweet. It's
Always
awesome.
on
It's the best. Him and Frank and Adam Schefter.
Him, Frank Schefter. Yeah, I got like
Big three.
The big three.
I have Frank, Friedman, LeBrun,
Mm.
and Passon. I don't have any
man.
NFL guys. All right, let's keep cruising along with the show. We'll put the trade talk off to the side for a moment, and we'll get to the scoring summary because there was a hockey game to talk about from the weekend. Our scoring summary is brought to you by our new friends over at Yeti. Crave the cold and extend your ice time with hard-hitting gear that's built to honor the toughest sport on earth. Crave the cold, Yeti, built for the Wild. Once you get a Yeti cup, you can really never go back. AB's working on his right now over there.
Yeti cooler, Yeti chair.
The Yeti chairs were getting rave reviews on the weekend. All right, scoring summary. Edmonton comes out of the gates flat, as they kind of do. You said it, Jay. We were sitting watching the game, and you were like, Alex Tuck first goal. You should have bet it because you nailed it. 16th of the year for Tuck, opened the scoring for the Buffalo Sabres. Again, not really. Like, I shouldn't even say Edmonton came out flat. Like, they were fine. They just couldn't really get a bounce, and then that one goes in, and it's like, okay, crap. Skinner probably wants it back to some extent, but where I'll give the Oilers and Skinner credit is that I thought they both bounced back reasonably well. Skinner went on to only allow one other goal and actually had to stop. He finished with 39 saves in the game, and the Oilers, they found
like 5 breakaways on PK.
Yeah, it was unreal. And then Jeff Skinner, you just saw it right there. 8th of the year, ties it up, gets his revenge goal. Predictable. I bet on it.
I did too.
Yeah, I did too.
I'm pretty sure everybody did.
I also accidentally bet on, well, I'll wait till it happens, but I bet on something accidentally that hit. That no one never bets.
Last goal?
Yes.
Awesome.
Buffalo would take the lead back in the second period. It's Yuri Kulich, who is yeah, he's actually pretty good. He doesn't get
factor.
Yeah,
he's visible.
Well.
Yeah, Buffalo fans at least really like him. But there's the one-timer. Nice celebration from Kulich too. Buffalo takes another lead, but it would be the last time that they lead in the hockey game, as Edmonton would tie it up. Ryan Nugent-Hopkins, 14th on the year from Kasperi Kapanen and Matthias Ekholm. We'll get a look at this one here. That is a silky little move by Kapanen. That's why I like having a guy like that in your bottom six who has the ability to play with the puck and skates well, can make offensive plays. Like, it pays off. And Kapanen right there, like, that's slick. That's a nice move. Also, credit to Corey Perry. There's an inside angle there. Like, this actually probably should have been goalie interference. You can see that was Reimer pointing at him. That's Perry, and he totally just grabs onto Reimer's stick.
Oh, he did. But I think you could kind of get away with it a little bit of being like, Reimer left his stick out with the blue paint.
Yeah.
You know, but it was
Corey Perry just
little cheeky play. Yeah.
And then third period, it was the Ryan Nugent-Hopkins game. He's been on an absolute tear as of late. He's now up to 15 goals on the season here for the Oilers. Some decent little puck movement as they zip it around. And then that's just a smart offensive player going to a good soft spot, right? Out of sight, out of mind, and then slip into a dangerous area. Nuge is up to 15 now on the season. And how can you close the door on Ryan Nugent-Hopkins potentially being a 30-goal guy this year for the Edmonton Oilers? He's got 3 in his last 2 games. When you look back over his last 10, he's racked up 5. Like, I think he can score at a 40 goal pace the rest of the season, and that would make him a 30 goal guy on the year. This is he had that year a couple seasons ago, right? 104 points, 37 goals, 53 of those 104 points. So 50% of his production, more than 50% of his production came on the power play. This year, just 14 of his 31 points are on the power play. So it's a tick under 50% of his production, but he's been good at 5v5. He's scoring at 5v5. He's continuing to be a factor on the power play. This is the best Ryan Nugent-Hopkins has looked in 24 months.
Yeah, totally. And the thing is, too, with him, his goals at 5-on-5 aren't coming with McDavid, which is interesting. He's finding ways to produce outside of being on that top line, which is maybe an indication of why the lines are the way they are today, which we'll get to later. But yeah, he's been playing really, really well. And crazy what happens when you eventually move him up with a guy like Kapanen as well. Like, the others really needed a spark in that moment. They changed the lines, and that trio did a good job getting them on the board to make it 2-2.
Yeah, he's now just 3 goals away from matching his total from last season.
Damn. I think 30's high.
30's high? Someone said I was being like, no, if he scores at a 40-goal pace from now to the end of the year, that will get him to the 30-goal mark on the season. I felt like that made sense.
I didn't for 30.
I think, yeah, I mean, hey, I'm all for it. I think he'll maybe get like 26.
Okay. I'm not offended at 26, but let's push him to 30. Let's give him our intentions. Let's manifest this.
Yeah. Let's give him some good wingers to play with.
The thing we're not doing in this game, and yes, it is about Ryan Nugent-Hopkins, our boy, the Nuge, the ageless wonder. But Stuart Skinner, man, I know like you lightly touched on it, but we got to give him his flowers.
Well, let's get into that. It's our one big take from the game, and it's brought to you by Service Credit Union. Excited to have Service Credit Union back on board with the show. Jay, your one big take from the game. Stuart Skinner. What do you want to say? What do you want to say about how electric he was?
I want to say thank you, because we probably didn't deserve to win that game, and he kept us in there.
39 for 41 in that hockey game.
Yes.
And like, again, just kind of thinking back, weekend has my brain feeling a little bit fuzzy, but like sliding across, stopping one-timer, stopping the shorthanded breakaways. Like Stuart Skinner.
It's funny to say breakaways on
plural.
the same power play.
He ends that game with a .951 save percentage. He's now back up to a .902 on the season.
You want him.
So we're back. He is not going to be in the lineup or available to the Edmonton Oilers tonight. Congratulations to Stuart Skinner and his wife Chloe, who are going to be welcoming their second child into the world. I think it's happening at some point today.
Yeah.
I don't really know how that works. Do you schedule an appointment? I'm not sure.
Well, there's many layers to it. Sometimes, yes.
So anyways, best of luck to Stuart Skinner. Calvin Pickard will start tonight against Seattle. The fact that
E-Bug.
Oh,
interesting.
E-Bug. University of Alberta goaltender Tyler Palmer was being used as the E-Bug earlier in the week. So shout out to Tyler Palmer and the University of Alberta Golden Bears. But this is a little sneaky E-Bug watch.
Yeah. So if the Oilers get up, do we get another Matt Berlin?
Yeah, we should.
Make it your thing.
I remember Tyler Palmer used to play for the Spruce Grove Saints as well.
Mm-hmm.
And they had a goalie. Some may remember him. Matthew Davis was Spruce Grove's goalie. And for whatever reason, he didn't play. And they called it this Tyler Palmer kid. And he was amazing.
He was like 16, yeah.
Just robbed the crew. Like back-to-back nights. It was unreal. And then he ended up going to the Victoria Royals. And I was so thankful. So thankful.
Out of the AJ.
He was so good.
One big take, Stuart Skinner. Yeah, absolutely tremendous in that game against Buffalo. Really kind of makes up for the 786 he had against the Washington Capitals. It had actually been 3 straight games where Stuart Skinner was below a 900 in each of them. So felt like he needed a little right the ship kind of a game. And again, the Alex Tuck goal wasn't great, but he more than made up for it down the stretch in that hockey game. So shout out to Stuart Skinner.
I was reading the comments after, what's that, Yuri Kulich?
Yeah, Yuri Kulich.
Scored on the Oilers account. Just crazy. I couldn't believe it. He made he literally made 8 saves on that power play, and everyone was so pissed that he allowed that goal.
Yeah.
It's like, come on, give the guy some credit. How about we blame the PK for allowing so many shots? And also, maybe I'm being a bit harsh, but I found Hyman to come out of the box so slow on that play.
Mm-hmm.
You seen the power play ended like for a few seconds before anyone came into the picture.
He was maybe trying to get the little breakaway feed going back the other way, right? Yeah. You kind of just slowly go out. Or are we going to get a turnover here? Since December 1st, amongst goalies who have played at least 10 games in the NHL, Stuart Skinner ranks 10th with a .915 save percentage in that stretch, a .232 goals against average to go with it as well for Stu, and that .232 would rank him 12th in the NHL. So Skinner's been giving the Oilers above average results since the calendar flipped to December, and even in January has been solid as well. So I like that as one big take. I have a different kind of a big take. It's sort of a rant I wanted to get off my chest because we had a clip go out over the weekend from our show on Friday talking about, it was me saying my new deadline target is Trent Frederick. And I had a handful of reasons for that. One, the Oilers don't have a lot of assets. The Oilers have some cap space, which I guess could help them at some point here. But they don't have a lot of assets. They've made this John Klingberg bet, and they apparently feel pretty high on him to the point that they're not considering going and getting that Ekholm style right shot D-man. You can continue to argue about whether that piece is even out there. And again, I don't think it is. If it's Mike Matheson, I have said, and I've been on record multiple times, I pay whatever the cost is to get a guy like Mike Matheson. And the replies were interesting. There were a lot of people that said they'd love Frederick. I said, give up a mid-round pick for him. There were a lot of people that pushed back and were like, you're not getting him for a mid-round pick. There were a bunch of people that said, you're stupid if you pay a mid-round pick for Trent Frederick. He's a 4th-line player. He's scored 17 goals and 18 goals in each of the last 2 years. Hasn't averaged north of 14 minutes a game in either of those seasons. So he's comfortable in a bottom 6 role. He's shown he can be productive in a bottom 6 role. But I also keep seeing a lot of, this is your last year of Connor and Leon, both on these contracts. You have to take advantage of it and swing big. The Oilers will be regretting it if they don't swing big. And I feel like because they didn't win, this gets forgotten or people kind of bury it in their minds. The Oilers went all in each of the last 2 deadlines. You gave up a first and another, basically first in Reed Schaefer to go get Matthias Ekholm. You gave up a first to get Adam Henrique and then moved out Ryan McLeod so you could keep Adam Henrique. You chose him. And I know you got Savoy in that, but still, like, they've gone all in back-to-back years. And I understand you are in a win now window and you want a cup every single season. It's cup or bust. I totally get that line of thinking. But I think there's another angle to all of this that is, can you give up a 1st-round pick at every single deadline? They also don't have a first round pick this year. So if you spend the 2026 first rounder, then we're going to get to next year's deadline.
What did Tampa do during their window?
I don't remember.
Yeah, but so they gave up first, but they almost always, maybe 60% of the time, you'd have to go look back at the deals. But like Gaudreau had him with term, right? They got Coleman, got him with term though. They did do the one for Savard, and he eventually went and walked out. But
Tanner Jeannot.
Yeah, Tanner Jeannot, but got him with
one.
term, right? And the Oilers, again, and eventually Tampa Bay did stop spending their first round picks. But like Edmonton's done that back-to-back years. You got Ekholm with term. You're still reaping the benefit of that deal. You went out and spent a first for rental, Adam Henrique. Good. I'm just saying I'm not sure if the Oilers this year, especially in year one of a Stan Bowman regime, when I think he maybe has a bit more of a long-term view than a Ken Holland did last year, who knew he was in his last season.
Long-term view. Like, what's long-term? Like, they have to, like, it doesn't even matter what contracts they were on. They're 28 and 27 or 28 and 29 years old.
Yeah.
So the time is now.
The time is
so yes, if there is a piece that is available that truly helps us win and addresses a need, then you got to do it.
I agree with you. And that's why I said, like, if Mike Matheson is available, do it. Give up the first, give up whatever. If Bo Akey's involved somehow, however you're making the pieces work, do the deal. But I'm not saying, I'm saying, like, I'm not giving up a first for Ivan Provorov this year. I'm not giving up a first for probably none of the rental D-men. I'm doing it if I can justify it in the sense of this is going to help me for multiple runs. Because again, like, right now, in the moment, one, I think the Oilers are good enough to win the Stanley Cup as currently constructed. Not that you don't want to give this lineup help, but I think they can win the Stanley Cup with the pieces they have on their roster right now on January 27th. They deserve to be the Stanley Cup favorites. They're now tied with Carolina on the odds board. I just think people need to kind of take just a little bit of a step back. And like, if you move that 2026 first rounder, you know what we're going to be doing next year at the deadline? Going, damn, we don't have our first rounder. And like, at some point you need to catch up. You have a catch up year.
Do you have a cup?
Sure. But again, just trading your first rounder does not mean you win the Stanley Cup.
Yeah. I don't think it's about what you spend. It's about what you
I want them to spend smarter, not harder.
Yeah. Like, don't just spend your first round pick because you think you need to do it. Like, just get the pieces that you think will help you win. If it costs you a first round pick, that's fine.
Yeah.
But if you only spend a third and you get a defenseman that's going to help your blue line out and take it to another level, then that's also fine. Yeah.
And like, again, I just see a lot of people going, you need to, again, trade the first no matter what. And this pressure on it's McDavid and Draisaitl last year of them only making 20.5. Cap's going to keep shooting up. We've been talking about that a lot so far on the show. And again, if anything, you have Draisaitl for 8 more seasons. You have Connor for 8 more seasons. Yes, every year is like a win now type of move. And I think they even proved that doing we're keeping Henrique and getting rid of Ryan McLeod. We're getting rid of Warren Fogle because we think Victor Arvidsson helps us win more right now, where Warren Fogle will probably be a better player for a longer run of time because of his age. Ryan McLeod will probably be a better player for a longer run of time because of his age. Like, they're still making all-in moves. I'm not saying sell. I'm not saying any of that kind of stuff. I'm just saying I don't think people should be shocked if they don't make an Ekholm or Henrique style move at this deadline.
I also just don't know if there is that Ekholm guy. But the one that stands out the most, just based off position, contract, all that stuff, is Rasmus Ristolainen.
Yeah.
And that might be a huge, huge mistake to just do it because it's like, oh, it kind of matches up. He has term. He's only $5 million. What is he? 29, 30, whatever it is.
I'm not touching him. I'm not touching him with a 10-foot pole.
He's good in this current situation.
For who?
Philly, right? They're loving him, aren't they?
Nah.
I'm not saying I'm saying no on him too, because it's more than just this like little sample size that everyone's celebrating. It's a lot more complicated than that.
Rasmus Ristolainen's best asset is that he's big.
And he's finished.
He has no finish, ironically.
Well,
yeah.
And he's not that good defensively. He just doesn't have a lot of good things. But I don't think he's actually on anyone's legit radar. But he's the only one that, when you look at this board, Provorov, to an extent, because he does have one more year, but we also know the other parts of that story as well. Rasmus Ristolainen is a guy like that, and I just hope we don't do it.
Does Brazo have any term?
No, but he's only 775,000.
Yeah, he's young. Like
26.
Yeah,
he can't play center though.
Can't
play center. That's why I like Frederick.
Do we need a center?
Yeah,
we do.
I think so. And I think if you're getting a winger.
Because Frederick, like to Jeff Merrick's point, he doesn't win draws.
So
you'd want to play him on the wing anyways.
No, I would be fine with him as a centerman. I know the face-off percentage number isn't great on him. I also don't love that stat. And again, situationally, like I just think the whole like, does he win draws face-off percentage? Is he better on the right side, better on the left side? Like, I don't know. I do your pre-scout on him for sure, but a guy who at least has the ability to play center is beneficial to you.
The part that you can use Frederick for, if say you wanted him to play center, have Henrique on the wing and have Henrique take all the draws.
A little bit of breaking news here from the Washington Capitals. The Washington
gone.
Yep. For Rantanen.
Did they trade?
No, they signed Logan Thompson, got a 6-year extension according to Elliot Friedman. Just under $6 million.
Oh, they signed him for $1 million, right? Or they signed him for $1 million, or was he already making $1 million?
He was already making $1 million. They gave up 2/3 for him.
Do you know what was? I saw a thing going around the other day when we lost to Logan Thompson. Was how did the Oilers not get this guy? It's like, why would Vegas trade him to Edmonton?
Yeah, that too.
It's like he only costs a 3rd-round pick. Is that the Oilers? That might be a 1st-round pick.
Just like this one from Naeem. Was it a mistake giving up a first for Henrique? I was having this conversation over the weekend with someone, and it was like, when you look at this deal as a total sum of its parts, it is Ryan McLeod and a first for Adam Henrique and Matt Savoy
and Jeff Skinner,
and there was some retention there.
Yeah, you had to pay for the retention, and you got Sam Carey as well. Yep. But like, if you just look at it in that vacuum of those were the 2 moves that were Adam Henrique centric to an extent, right? Would you do that? McLeod and a first for Savoy and Henrique, knowing now that you get Henrique for this year and next at $3 million.
I'll say yes.
Like, I don't regret it.
The Oilers get the best asset in that deal in Savoy.
I think they get the best current player and the best asset.
Yeah.
Savoy's worth more than your first, and I like Henrique more than I like McLeod, although it's close.
I think Henrique can.
Yeah, maybe I don't.
Can kind of cancel each other out.
Mm-hmm.
The first, you don't know what you get him, but what did they get? Did they use that pick already?
Yeah, they would have. They would have used it in this last draft. Anyways, it's just an interesting conversation to look at that from sort of a bigger scope. Okay, it is a Sherwood Ford Giant game day. We got a bunch of stuff to get to, including some game notes and a lineup report. But as we do, our friends at Sherwood Ford, they got
Not ready yet.
Not ready yet. Okay. We will not get to that. First, we will get to the lineup report brought to you by our friends at Booster Juice, delicious and nutritious smoothies, food, all of that. The keys or the paninis, forget about it. Booster Juice, big part of us being out at the pond hockey tournament this weekend. That was absolutely electric. They kept us nice and fueled up. Also, you can download the new Booster Rewards app today to earn, order, and enjoy. Lines at practice today for the Oilers are very, very different. Not really what I was expecting, but Draisaitl, McDavid, and Hyman are your top line. Podkolzin, Henrique, and Arvidsson are your second line. Nuge with Connor Brown and Matthias Janmark is your third line. Philip Kapanen and Perry, fourth line. Jeff Skinner, healthy scratched. He scored. He has 8 goals on the season. I actually thought he was a factor against Buffalo, and he can't stay in the lineup. I don't get it. It was my lead today. We joked about it. We knew it was going to be a part of the show, but like, what does Jeff Skinner have to do to stay in the lineup? Like, again, 8 goals is nothing to scoff at.
No. Pacing for 15, 16.
Not playing in a pure bottom 6 role with basically no extra minutes.
He was good on, was it Vancouver the other day too? He had quite a few chances. I don't know. I honestly think it's getting quite ridiculous at this point. Matthias Janmark doesn't have a point since December 22nd. He's basically
he's out there burning calories.
He's a good penalty killer.
Yeah,
but you take away the name Matthias Janmark and just describe what he does, and anyone in the NHL would tell you that's a good 4th line winger.
Yep.
And we've got him out here with Ryan Nugent-Hopkins and Jeff Skinner on the sidelines, who has 8 goals. Corey Perry, what's he at 7 now on the season? I think. Yeah. Kasperi Kapanen, I believe, is at 6 or 7 as well. Like, you could go games without seeing what Janmark's doing. And I think those 3 other players who are below him in the lineup are factoring in every other night, every few nights, whatever it may be. I just don't get it.
5v5 goals per 60. Jeff Skinner, 6th on the Oilers. 5v5 shots per 60. Jeff Skinner, 2nd on the Oilers. Like,
second.
Yeah. The only player who has a higher shots per 60 than Skinner is Victor Arvidsson. so far this season.
He loves to shoot the puck.
Individual
everywhere.
Yeah.
In dumb spots.
Which is why individual expected goals per 60. So are you getting dangerous chances from dangerous areas? He's second on the team. Only Zach Hyman has more than him. Individual shot attempts per 60, second on the team. Like everything you do, like even he goes to the net. He's got the second most rebounds created per 60 at 5-on-5. Like I really just it's baffling to me. It's confusing. OP is in. I always love when he's tuning in live. Jeff Skinner needs consistent minutes right now and has earned them. Yanni or Brown could sit for a game. The PK would survive tonight against Seattle. Don't like the decision, but I'm not surprised. Like, no, I'm not really like surprised about this either, but I just feel like there was a better decision to make for who comes out of this lineup. And Ryan Nugent-Hopkins playing with Connor Brown and Matthias Janmark. One of them can't score at all. One of them is stuck in a pretty nasty offensive slump right now and is a very streaky kind of offensive player. Ryan Nugent-Hopkins, your hottest forward right now, and you're putting him on a line with two anchors.
Yeah. Jeff Skinner as well played power play minutes last 2 games. Did well on the power play. Hey, I don't know. Even like Henrique second line center. Like give Nuge that spot.
Yeah.
Even I would have Arvidsson down the lineup a little bit too. I don't think he's been doing anything special recently. I really do think any of the, like I said, Perry, Kapanen, and Skinner all deserve to be higher up the lineup.
Yep.
I think it's fair to bump Podkolzin down a little bit too.
Yeah, I agree with you. On the blue line, you see Alec Regula is in the mix there. That is because Darnell Nurse is sick. But Knobloch kind of said the expectation is that he should be available tonight against the Seattle Kraken. Again, Sherwood Ford Giant Game Day. Shout out to our friends over at Sherwood Ford. No, let's get to the guest line here. Let's go out and it's a Monday, as we do every Monday. We bring in our friend Louie DeBrusk, Sportsnet analyst, former NHLer. Louie, excited to have you on the show as always. Before we talk Oilers, can I get your take on the Mikko Rantanen deal? Like we were just kind of saying from an Oilers perspective, I think you wake up after that deal far less afraid of the Colorado Avalanche than you were before. But what did you make when that news came down that Rantanen was a Cane?
Initially, I feel the same way as you guys. I really do. I think that obviously Carolina gets the better player in the deal. I mean, Mikko Rantanen is a top-notch player in this league. He's, listen, how many times have we compared that dynamic duo to the dynamic duo here in Edmonton? McKinnon and Rantanen have been able to pace along with Connor and Leon and, the Kucherovs of the world. It's always been like that big 5 in the league that you're consistently talking about on a regular basis. In the last few years, especially, they've really ratcheted it up since they won the Cup. So Carolina wins. I think they get a tremendous player. I mean, a star in Rantanen. They also get Taylor Hall, who's going to be motivated coming from the Chicago Blackhawks. Wasn't happy there, was vocal about it. Goes to the Hurricanes, and he's going to give you what he has. And quite frankly, on a historic team in Boston playing, I thought he played well in that system as a depth guy that could produce, that could skate, still has that speed. So I wish him nothing but the best. So Carolina is the winners in this situation by far. The Hawks become the bank. They get Hull off the books. They take some money from Rantanen. They get a 3rd-round pick out of the deal. Listen, the big question is at what caliber and how high end is Martin Necas going to be as a player? He's having a fantastic season. It's a breakout year. He's an elite scorer. I liken him to a little bit like a Pasternak for me, is the type of player that he is. Very offensive, very fast, and loves to get that shot away. If he goes in there and he's a 40-plus goal scorer and a 100-point player, because that's what he's going to have to be to equal what Rantanen did in that organization, then we'll start having a different conversation, but that remains to be seen. Played over 25 minutes his first game, didn't have any points, had 2 assists in his second game. Necas is going to put up points, so they're going to give him every opportunity to be the player they want him to be, but he's also not going to be looking for a little contract as well, and they're going to have to negotiate that with him and try and sign that deal. So Jack Drury is a great young player. I think he's a hard worker. I think he's, one of those players that does help you win hockey games. He can move up and down your lineup, but there's no question I'm with you guys. The Carolina Hurricanes won that deal.
I got another one before we get into the Oilers talk. News came down yesterday that Alex Pietrangelo is going to withdraw from the Four Nations to, he said he had an ailment or something. They make the announcement. That night, he goes out and plays 24 minutes for the Vegas Golden Knights. Like, it's very clear that Alex Pietrangelo just didn't want to go. You talk to a lot of guys around the league. What's the excitement level for this Four Nations? Like, would you be surprised if in the next 10 days we hear, 6 other guys are kind of looking at what Pietrangelo are doing and going, oh, I can just bow out if I want the 2 weeks to go to Cancun or whatever? Sweet, I'm out. Like, what do you make of the excitement level? Do you think we'll see more guys do that?
I mean, first, I think, Ty, that I do think Petrangelo's dealt with some injuries here. He's missed some time, right? So there's obviously something that's been nagging on him. And I can tell you from being around the locker room and being around having a player that plays, to be honest with you, and knowing what these guys go through and being there myself over the years, watching how much goes into getting these guys prepared and ready for games to play, especially when you're an elite player. Patrice Bergeron comes to mind. I mean, and we've talked about this before, in his last couple of years, he was on that table for hours getting himself ready to play hockey games. And that was what it took for him to do, but he did. Nobody knew that behind closed doors. Nobody knew that watching the game. So I don't want to sit here and judge Pietrangelo as to why he's pulling out. He's obviously had international experience before. He's an older guy, so maybe it doesn't mean as much to him. That's kind of what you're talking about, is maybe some of the younger players. This is their first opportunity to represent Canada at this level of a tournament. So I think the excitement is still really high. I do. I think it's really exciting for players to get to play with some of the other best players from their country in a tournament like this that goes up against other countries. It's only 4 teams in this case, but this is a little dress rehearsal for the Olympics next year. And I think every player is really excited about that, to be able to perform and have an opportunity to play for their country in the Olympics, which guys like McDavid haven't been able to do. There's a lot of conversations about him playing with Crosby, playing with McKinnon, these players that he just hasn't really been able to rub shoulders with too much. I think the best players want to play with the best. They want to represent their countries. I think Pietrangelo is an isolated case. I don't expect a whole lot of guys, unless there's injuries there, which I totally understand, to be honest, that pull themselves out. But it's a little early. I understand how people are going to look at that and say, holy geez, he went out there and played more than most players playing a night the next night. But who knows what he's doing behind closed doors. There's just a little caveat there that I want to kind of keep in mind for players, because he might be doing everything in his power right now to play for his team that's in a pretty big slide and trying to dig themselves out of it and maintain their position in the top of the division. But I don't want to question him too much, because there's obviously a major reason why he's not going.
Yeah, and that's actually a really good point too. The other flip side, and I think this is going to be a conversation in Ottawa with Linus Ullmark, but I do also wonder if maybe some teams won't go to some guys who they know are dealing with stuff, and maybe those guys want to be warriors and want to go play for their country. Could there be some teams going, hey, we know you really want to go, but we got a playoff push coming up here in a couple of weeks. We'd like to have you at 100%.
It does play into it, right? I mean, the number one thing for every player this year is getting to the playoffs. That is the objective, to win the Stanley Cup. When you're a professional athlete, that's the job, that's the task at hand every single year. But this is a little bit of a unique situation, having a tournament with 4 countries represented and going at it for a couple of weeks. I think it certainly sets the table, as I said, for the Olympics next year, which I think everybody's kind of excited about, to see that again, and the best players representing each country respectively. But yeah, you never know, right? Yeah, I agree with you. Like I said, if there's guys that are kind of dealing with something, why would you ever want to go and make it worse? I think this is an opportunity for you to politely bow out and say, listen, if it's the Olympics, you might go for it. But again, you're getting paid to play for respective teams. You're getting paid to perform for your respective NHL hockey club. And that is the priority. As much as we look at and say, hey, this is amazing to represent the country, you have to look at it realistically. And if there's guys that have some nagging injuries, you have to really be careful that you don't make it worse and hurt you and your team down the stretch.
What did you make of the lineup today? Obviously, McDavid skating next to Draisaitl and Hyman. Do you think that's to kind of help McDavid get back into the groove after missing 3 games?
For sure, a little bit, I do. I think, I had a good conversation with Chris Knobloch this morning, and I think also, Leon's been doing some heavy lifting. If you ask either one of those 2 guys who they'd rather play with, or if they had to pick who they could play with, they're picking each other. They're just such a great dynamic duo that it's a natural fit, and it kind of brings the energy up for those 2 guys, for Connor coming back. So yeah, that. And I also think, he did mention he likes some of the combinations that he's seen. He likes the chances the Nugent-Hopkins line is creating. And I know you look at perception-wise, you look at the wingers, and they haven't scored in a long time. Very dry spell for both Brown on the right-hand side and Janmark on the left-hand side. Janmark's is a little longer, but they are generating. And the other thing that he brought to our attention that is really important too is that he's playing against the top lines. He has a line now that he feels comfortable sending out after the top line and saying, go do a job. Ryan Nugent-Hopkins is completely capable of that. It was Adam Henrique in that position before. Nuge is a little bit quicker, can make a little bit more of a subtle play, I think, at times, those little finite plays. But I think that it's a little tweak that gives Nugent-Hopkins some faster wingers, and they're doing a pretty solid job that way. If you look at the metrics of it and what they're creating, the puck isn't going to the net for those two guys. I understand that. Nugent-Hopkins right now has found his game. He's playing some real solid hockey, and I think they just want to keep going with that. So that was part of it. And I would consider that to be the second line. That is now the second line, and Podkolzin down on the third line with Henrique and Arvidsson, I think is, it's just a little bit of shuffling, a little bit of depth. You're going to get a little bit different matchup for Podkolzin and Arvidsson and Henrique than you would have if it's Draisaitl in the middle. So it changes the complexion of the entire roster, and I think they're just trying to find that balance. But I do believe, and I asked them that question, it's funny you said, but is this to kind of get Connor back into it after missing 3? It's like, hey, let's get going. Let's hit it running instead of kind of easing back in, which I don't think he ever does. He doesn't ever ease back into the game. I expect him to come out pretty excited to be back in the lineup. He's been sitting watching 3, and I don't think he was too happy about it.
Foaming at the mouth, probably.
Oh, yeah. And against a team like Seattle that they've been dominant over the last couple of seasons, I think there's a pretty predictable outcome tonight. I think it involves
Supernova night.
Yeah, Supernova night.
Did he mention anything about Jeff Skinner? That's why our conversation has been today in the chat. Just like scores a goal on Saturday, and now he's out of the lineup.
Yeah, those are tough decisions. And I think that, again, he just looks around at the lineup. You've got a player that's coming into the lineup that you're not keeping out of the lineup. Anytime you have a star player come back in, unfortunately, somebody's going to have to be the one on the outside looking in. Skinner's come in and done a nice job in the games that he's come in. But I think when you look at it before that time when Connor was in the lineup, he was on the outside looking in. So they're going back to that template. But I would agree, and I heard a little bit of what you were talking about before, Liam. I think there's some guys that might be the next one out, and they have to understand that. I think now you have guys that come in, and it was nice to see Skinner score against his old team. It's always fun, going up against your old team that you've played with for years, and going up against some guys and putting the puck in the net. You could see the big smile on his face. So I think he understands, where he is in his career, and with this team, he's probably going to be in and out of the lineup for the remainder and jump in there and have to try and produce, and which he can provide that little punch, and good to see that. But for right now, he's on the outside, but that doesn't mean that can't change. That can't change in the next couple of games, depending on how people play. And now I think it also puts people on notice when you've got a full roster with an extra guy sitting out going, okay, he scored last game. He's a healthy scratch. Time to get going.
Last one I got for you. John Klingberg doesn't sound like he's going to be able to play in the next few days here with, I think they said an immigration issue or something like that. But you've obviously had your eyes on him at practice. How do you think he's looked? Is this a guy who's kind of feet are back under him and you think can make an impact?
I think he's looked good. And the one thing about Klingberg that I've always liked about him, he moves the puck extremely well. He's got great skill. Amazing wrist shot too from the point. It was one of those things we talked about back in the day when him and Ekman Larson were, quarterbacking power plays and ripping the puck on net and doing a great job of it. I saw we did some video in the last game with him skating with McDavid in the last 3 games that he's been out. And, chasing him around the ice is maybe the most difficult thing to do for a guy coming back, especially for a defenseman. So if you want to get yourself game ready, you might as well go up against the best. And I don't think any better guy to do that than Connor McDavid, who always brings intensity into practices. We don't talk about that enough. I know we've mentioned it a lot, but he's the guy that leads the pack in practice too. He goes out there and there's just a certain level that he's always at. He's always going to be at that level, so he's going to bring the best out in everybody else, including the guys that are trying to defend him, and that was Klingberg in the last few skates. Doing extra with him, he's really close. I think he's going to be in the lineup. Chris Knobloch said potentially as early as this week coming up, he wants to get him in maybe in the back-to-back situation on the road, but he's really, really close. I think he's looked really good. Obviously, health-wise, it sounds like the 2 hips are feeling great, and that's the most important thing. Get the immigration stuff dealt with, and I think he'll be ready to step into the lineup. Darnell Nurse missed today. He's a little under the weather, but we know Darnell, it's going to take a lot to keep him out of the lineup. If he's not on his deathbed as far as illness goes, he's going to be in the lineup. That's the kind of guy that he is. He doesn't like to miss games. He doesn't like to miss skates. So I expect him to be in the lineup, and he'll get it out.
Louie, as always, appreciate your time. Enjoy the game tonight. Thanks for popping on.
All right, guys. Take care.
There you go. Sports analyst Louie DeBrusk.
Louie. Love Louie.
Should we do some keys to victory? For our friends at Sherwood Power Sports and Marine, home of the $50 biweekly ATV and the $105 biweekly boat, whether it's motorcycles, quads, e-bikes, boats, or all the accessories that come with it, or even the maintenance. Their service department out back at Sherwood Power Sports and Marine is about as top-notch as you can get, right in the heart of Sherwood Park. Shout out to Sherwood Power Sports and Marine. Key to victory, boys.
Special teams is my key to victory. In the last 10 games, the Seattle Kraken penalty kill is 66%. That sucks.
That is stinky.
One more thing about Sherwood Power Sports Marine. For all of us anglers out there, they got everything you need. Rods, hooks, bait, tackle.
Giddy up. Didn't you say you were going to do some ice fishing right away?
We're talking about that. They're doing. They've invited us out for. We'll have to circle back to that.
Yeah.
We might do a
good use of business jargon as well. Circle back, put a pin in it.
Put a pin in it. Yeah. We're trying to find the synergies between one another.
My key to victory is going to be making up for lost time. Connor McDavid, come on. 3 games without you. The team went 2-1. They did their job while you were out of the lineup. Tonight, you go do your job. You pop home 3 points for the 3 games you missed. You fuel this Oilers team to victory. And, not that you're going to win the MVP from Leon Draisaitl, but maybe make a little bit of statement that, you guys do miss me when I'm out. I'm being a little tongue in cheek.
I'm still a factor, guys. I'm over here.
Yeah, I want to
send them down to Baco to conditioning
a little rehab stint for 97.
You know what my key to victory is? Play for the e-bug. Get them on the ice.
I like that.
Play for the e-bug. If the e-bug hits the ice, we have done something fantastic.
Also, again, there is still a pretty good chance, I believe, that Stuart Skinner is going to be on the bench tonight.
They might be on the bench, and then if something happens, he just goes.
Yeah, well, Christopher Palmer, I think, just commented and said the baby's been born, so it might just be one of those he's not going to do the preparation of game day, but they're going to throw him on the bench.
All right. Well,
either way,
if the e-bug is there,
why not
get him on?
Yeah. There you go. All right, betting challenge for our friends at Bet365. Download the app today. Use the promo code NATION. Oh, Christopher Palmer says he was joking. Okay. Whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. Betting challenge. We didn't have one. Oh, no, we wouldn't have had one on
Vancouver.
Saturday. Yeah, it was Vancouver's the last one. So I'm down 2.8. Jay, you need to take some swings. Liam is comfortably running away with this thing as we head down the stretch. But my pick tonight, putting my money where my mouth is. Come on, Connor. 2 points for Connor, 2 points for Leon. They're playing on the same line. Come on. Is this not a very predictable game script?
I might have to edit mine to include a Leon 2 points just to juice it up more.
Yeah, plus 260 if the Oilers cover the puck line and the big dogs do some heavy lifting. Who do we got next, AB?
That guy.
Liam, what do you got?
Power play point. Leon, plus 160. I think Zach Hyman was plus 265 or something nuts like that.
Damn.
So
Hyman's might even be the better play, but
yeah, you just know Leon's involved.
Mm-hmm.
Hyman needs a tip in there, doesn't he?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Jay, what are you going with tonight?
Well, Connor Supernova. So 3+ points and Oilers puck line plus 300. Let's go.
Puck line plus 300. I mean, I like this. I will say
if you bolt on if Connor's getting 3+, Leon is getting 2+. So you should just do that because that probably takes it up to plus, if I'm going to guess, 600-700.
So 3 for Connor, 2 for Leon.
375.
And they cover the puck line. Yeah, you don't get that much more juice on it.
Oh, that's not juicy enough.
I mean, you could say if they're playing on the same line,
Leon scoring,
that gets you up to 475. Then you do a Hyman goal and a McDavid goal, and it's 14.
yeah. Now we're talking. Ty Emerson, maybe?
Yeah, and then the Oilers win the first period. Now you're up to 18.
Okay, we're getting there.
Oilers win the first 10 minutes. Now you're up to 25. So
now you're back in the challenge.
That gets me out of a jam, doesn't it?
That would get you out of a jam. You can load that whole thing up right there.
Until puck drop to change it.
That's fair. Okay, a couple of comments over in the YouTube for our friends at Odd Company Brewing and the all-new Nation Beer Everyday Lager. Whether it's game day or just any day, it is a good time to have one of these new, crisp, clean lagers. They are good. They're refreshing. It
powered our weekend.
Oh, did it ever power our weekend?
We actually played our best game after having a Team Nation beer.
Yeah, we did. It was our rally beer, and we turned it around. Anyways, 2 locations in Edmonton. You can also find them on Liquor Connect. What do we got going on in the chat here? Someone said Nuge anytime goal. It's not exactly playing with a lot of support, so that would make me a little bit nervous.
Play, dude. And Nuge be sniping.
Yeah, that is fair. I mean, that penalty kill number is stunning for Seattle.
Yeah, they're missing 2 good offensive players too, so I can't imagine their power play would be any good. No Yanni Gord or Jordan Eberle tonight for Seattle.
Both banged up?
Eberle has that pelvis injury.
Gross.
Against Chicago.
This camera keeps breaking on me.
Yeah, we got a camera problem going today. We keep cutting back. People were like, oh, Connor McDavid should bail on the Four Nations. Connor will not bail on the Four Nations. That is just not in his DNA. And again, Pietrangelo, if he's banged up dealing with something, sure.
I kind of get it. Like
I kind of do.
I know it's Vegas and everything.
Like Petro has to play.
Yeah, like he's missed time for Vegas. So, and also Bruce Cassidy is part of this, right?
Yeah.
So he would have a pretty good indication.
Yeah.
Of like, hey, probably.
No. Louis was spot on. I don't think it's him just tapping out for just wanting to chill.
Yeah, I agree.
Like he has to play night in, night out for the team that pays him. And if 2 weeks of not doing anything can help him get him to 100%, which gives his team a better shot, he's got to do it.
It just looks worse because it's Vegas.
Yeah.
Well, everything's fishy, right?
Always. Yeah.
There's no circumvention with that, what he's doing. So
no, yeah, that's true.
I thought Ryan made a good comment. Kraken are 24th in the league on the power play. You don't need a Janmark PK tonight. I agree. If there was ever a game to sit Matthias Janmark, it is tonight where you want to win the 5v5 battle and really kind of hammer him there.
So there you go. Since these last 3 games, McDavid was out the lineup. From Washington, that trio of Janmark, Nuge, and Brown led the team on 5-on-5 minutes as a trio, 9 minutes against Washington. Led him again against Vancouver, 11-10 in minutes, time on ice. And then led him again against Buffalo, 9-46.
And what was the score when they were on the ice?
1-0 against Buffalo, obviously. 0-0 against Vancouver. And 0-0 against.
So if you want to make
They're
a case,
productive defensively.
I was going to say, if you want to make a case for it, it is kind of like what Louis said. They'll go out there, throw them out against the Kraken top line, and there you go, right?
Yeah.
Saw them off. You have last change. So if you can trust them defensively, you have last change, frees up Connor and Leon. I can
like
see
those numbers
that.
Against the top line is pretty good.
Yeah. Maybe, I don't know. Maybe Louis was thinking more the last couple of games.
Yeah.
Against Vancouver, against Washington, Janmark's the forward he played the most against with Taylor Radish at 458, and then Ethan Frank.
Those are both the third line because Frank was on the third line in Washington. We'll see. We'll see how he deploys it. I'll judge it tomorrow. And if really don't like it,
then against Vancouver, it was Besser and JT Miller, so it must have been the last couple of games more than the first one.
Yeah, that's fair.
Oh well, whatever.
I think they're going to smoke them tonight. I mean, I had the feeling they were going to smoke Vancouver like 2 minutes into that hockey game. I was like, yeah, this is a night where the Oilers got it. I think we'll get similar vibes here tonight. I just think this is such a mismatch. And again, Seattle's penalty kill, even though it's got a slight edge on the Oilers coming into tonight on the year, they have been god awful as of late. Have
you seen the difference in goalie stats for Seattle? It is insane.
Enlighten me.
Joey Decord has a 917 save percentage this season. Philip Grubauer has an 870. He's played 20 games.
That deal is not gone.
No, it is not. He has 5 wins this season, Grubauer. Isn't that crazy?
That is.
I believe the Oilers are getting Decord tonight, which, if I'm not mistaken, is either his 5th or 6th consecutive start. So
he tired.
Hopefully.
Jojo tired.
Chandler Stevenson was a game time decision on that game on Saturday against Pittsburgh too.
Did he play?
He did end up playing, but I'm not sure what the injury is.
Might have just been an illness too. Yeah. Calvin Pickard's going to go for the Oilers tonight. We talked about the Skinner angle of things. Last 2 games for Calvin Pickard had a 923 against Vancouver and a 912 against Minnesota. He has picked up a point in 4 straight, he's won 4 straight starts for the Oilers.
Cal.
They play well.
Calvin Pickard has won 8 of his last 9, 8 of his last 10.
That's someone would say that's elite backup numbers.
Yep, that's pretty good.
The more teams that beat Seattle, the more options to buy there will be at the deadline for the Oilers. Maybe
okay,
Jamie Alexiak, anybody?
I don't know. Maybe.
Why not?
I don't hate that idea either. Like, again, I'm fine paying a big price for someone at the deadline.
6-7.
I'm just not paying a big price for a rental. Like, if I'm paying a first, it's Alexiak, and you sit there and go.
He's got
1 more year.
I think he's like
How
4.5, right? 30,
32,
31, 32.
Left shot, but he can play the right side.
Flip him.
All right. That is a wrap on today's edition of the show. We got a new edition of Real Life we're going to be recording here in a little bit. And then Boardsy is live tonight. What time's pregame and start?
I believe 6:30.
Oh, 7:30 puck drop
Yeah, I
tonight?
believe, right.
Yeah.
7:30.
Actual 7:30 puck
Was this
drop.
an Amazon Monday Nighter?
No, the Monday night or someone else tonight.
Do you know what I just found out through looking through the Oilers schedule recently? The NHL doesn't put highlights on from the Amazon games.
Really?
Isn't that crazy? Yeah. If you go to the schedule and just go look at when they played Florida on that Monday night hockey game, there's no link to highlights. It's interesting.
Amazon ecosystem.
Yeah, all over there somewhere.
And while you're in there, watch Landman.
All right. We got our Sherwood Ford video ready.
Yeah.
Let's hear the fast facts before we go.
Fresh off his 3-game vacation, Captain Connor is back in action tonight. 15 points in his last 10 games against the Kraken. At this rate, he'll have more points than they have fans. Let's go Oilers!
Hey, Giant Mike here. The Oilers have won 9 out of the last 10 against the Kraken. They should just be sending them a fruit basket and a thank you card. That'd be more merciful.
So with their weekend win, the Oilers are now 12-2 when Ryan Nugent-Hopkins finds the back of the net. And apparently the only thing rarer than a unicorn is an Oilers loss when Nuge lights the lamp. Let's go Oilers.
They're
like
getting
that.
confident with these.
Oh, they're getting.
Yeah.
Sherwood Ford is in their bag with that one.
Oh, yeah. That was awesome.
That was the 3-game vacation.
That was a good line.
So
Shout out to our friends at
fast.
Sherwood Ford,
That's
the
awesome.
Giant. That is a good way to end a Sherwood Ford Giant Game Day edition of the show. Everybody in the chat, you were great. Shout out to Louie DeBrusk. Tomorrow we'll go around the NHL with our friend Anthony DeMarco and break down what should be a big Oilers victory. Thanks for tuning in. One more shout out to Bet365. That's a wrap on today's show. Enjoy the hockey tonight. Oil up.
Thank you for watching Oilers Nation every day. Hit the subscribe button to never miss a show. And for more, visit OilersNation.com.